Our journey begins in the 2nd millennium BCE, in central Anatolia, where the Hittites first emerge as a recognizable culture. Picture rolling hills and fertile plains, where small villages cluster around water sources and flocks graze lazily under the sun. The people speak an Indo-European language, now known as Hittite, and they live in dwellings made of mud brick, with thatched roofs that sway gently in the breeze. In these earliest centuries, the Hittites are organized into small, independent kingdoms. Each is ruled by a local chieftain or king, whose authority is reinforced by kinship, alliances, and ritual practices. Temples, often modest at first, become centers of social and spiritual life. The gods of the Hittites are numerous and diverse, drawn from the local landscape and neighboring cultures. There is the storm god, Tarhunt, who brings rain and fertility, the sun goddess who lights the day, and many others whose names echo faintly in the clay tablets that survive. Daily life revolves around the cycles of nature. Farmers till the land with wooden plows, sowing barley and wheat. Shepherds guide their flocks across gentle pastures. Women and men alike participate in crafting tools, pottery, and textiles. Trade begins to weave these communities together, as Anatolia is rich in copper, silver, and tin, the essential ingredients for bronze. Artisans hammer and mold, their work creating objects both practical and ceremonial, quietly shaping the culture of the emerging Hittite people. The first notable political center appears at Hattusa, a settlement chosen for its defensible position among hills and rivers. Stone walls rise here, marking the beginning of organized urban life. Streets are laid out with intention and public buildings begin to take shape. The earliest Hittite kings consolidate their authority, establishing laws and treaties that ensure order and continuity. These rulers are both warriors and priests, balancing the demands of power with the spiritual needs of their people. Cultural exchange is constant, facilitated by trade and occasional conflict. Mesopotamian ideas and writing influenced the Hittites, yet they adapt these foreign elements to their own traditions. Clay tablets become the medium for recording laws, treaties, and religious texts, inscribed in cuneiform. These early records reveal a society that values justice, social order, and diplomacy. In reading these tablets, one can almost hear the voices of people negotiating, worshiping, and recounting events for future generations. The Hittite rulers begin to expand their influence, gradually absorbing neighboring territories. Alliances are formed through marriage and diplomacy, and rivalries sometimes erupt into skirmishes. Yet there is no haste. The Hittites advance with caution, aware that stability and prosperity are built over decades, not days. We can imagine their leaders walking through the early streets of Hattusa, listening to the murmurs of citizens, contemplating treaties, and gazing upon the surrounding landscape with measured understanding. Temples become centers of both religion and administration. Priests oversee rituals, festivals, and offerings, ensuring that the favor of the gods remains with the people. Ceremonies are conducted with care, marked by incense, music, and the rhythmic repetition of prayers. Every act is imbued with a sense of continuity, connecting the present to the ancestral past and to the unseen forces of the world. In these early years, the Hittite identity begins to crystallize. They are a people of the land and the seasons, of stone and clay, of rivers and hills. Their society is hierarchical yet adaptive, balancing the authority of kings with the cooperation of communities. As the first dynasties take shape, they leave behind the first hints of the empire to come, an empire defined not merely by conquest but by organization, law, and culture. As we rest in this moment, let us pause to reflect on the calm persistence of these early Hittites. Their lives are measured by the sun and the seasons, by the planting of crops and the tending of flocks. Imagine the soft morning light spilling over the hills, the smell of baking bread, and the gentle murmur of life as the first kingdoms rise. Let this imagery lull the mind into a tranquil state, preparing us for the next chapter, where the Hittites grow in strength, influence, and reach. As we continue our journey through the soft folds of history, the focus now shifts to Hattusa, the heart of the Hittite world. Picture a city perched upon a rocky plateau, surrounded by gently rolling hills and dense forests. From this vantage, the early kings survey their lands, fertile plains stretching to the horizon, rivers winding slowly, and the distant peaks of the Anatolian mountains rising like silent sentinels. Hattusa is not yet a grand metropolis, but it is a seat of imperial ambition, where mud-brick houses cluster along narrow streets, and the scent of smoke from hearth fires drifts through the cool morning air. The earliest Hittite rulers, known from inscriptions as kings of the Old Kingdom period, begin consolidating power around the 17th and 16th centuries BCE. Their authority grows from a delicate balance of kinship, military strength, and religious legitimacy. Each king is seen as chosen by the gods, entrusted with the protection and prosperity of his people. The storm god Tarhunt and the sun goddess are central figures in their spiritual landscape, invoked in ceremonies that blend awe, respect, and careful ritual. We can imagine priests in flowing robes, incense curling around their hands, speaking prayers that rise and mingle with the morning breeze. Life in Hattusa is rhythmically structured. Farmers work the fields of barley and wheat beyond the city walls, guided by the soft light of dawn. Shepherds lead flocks through pastures, the gentle bleating of sheep mingling with the rustle of leaves. Potters shape clay into vessels, and carpenters fashion wooden beams for new constructions, their hands moving in steady, practiced motions. Trade caravans arrive from distant lands, bearing tin, copper, and other precious goods. Hattusa becomes a hub of commerce, a place where distant ideas mingle with local traditions, and where alliances are as vital as the rivers that nourish the land. The early kings are both warriors and lawmakers. Their reigns are marked by careful diplomacy, strategic marriages, and cautious military campaigns. The Old Kingdom rulers expand their reach gradually, absorbing nearby towns and villages into a growing network of loyalty and tribute. Clay tablets preserve their laws, written in cuneiform adapted from Mesopotamia. These laws provide guidance on justice, property, and social order, revealing a society keenly aware of balance and fairness. We can almost hear the quiet discussions of scribes, stylists scratching gently into wet clay, preserving the decisions and wisdom of their kings for centuries to come. As Hattusa grows, so does its architecture. Defensive walls of stone rise along the city's perimeter, punctuated by gateways and towers. Streets wind thoughtfully through the urban center, lined with administrative buildings, temples, and the homes of noble families. The city is alive but ordered, a reflection of the meticulous governance of its rulers. In quiet moments, one might imagine walking through Hattusa's streets, feeling the sun's warmth on stone walls, listening to the gentle chatter of citizens, and observing the rhythmic pulse of daily life. Religion plays a vital role in legitimizing the king's rule. Ceremonies are held in temples dedicated to the storm god, the sun goddess, and a host of local deities. Offerings of grain, wine, and livestock are made to ensure divine favor. The king participates personally, reinforcing his connection to the divine and his responsibility to his people. Priests maintain the sacred calendar, guiding the community through festivals and seasonal rituals that mark the passage of time. These ceremonies are not merely symbolic. They are an essential part of the city's social and spiritual fabric, weaving the human and divine into a seamless rhythm of life. The kings also engage in diplomacy beyond Anatolia. Trade and treaties extend their influence into Syria and the Levant, bringing the Hittites into contact with powerful neighbors such as Aleppo, Ugarit, and even Egypt. These early interactions are delicate and nuanced. Written treaties detail agreements on borders, trade, and mutual obligations, often sealed with symbolic gestures and gifts. Imagine scribes carefully inscribing these accords on clay tablets, each mark a bridge between distant lands, ensuring peace and cooperation for the sake of commerce and security. Conflict, though measured, shapes the early kingdom. Skirmishes with neighboring states test the skill of Hittite generals and the loyalty of their vassals. Yet the kings often prefer negotiation and marriage alliances to open warfare, understanding that the stability of Hattusa is paramount. As we drift through these centuries, it is easy to imagine the measured deliberation of a king, consulting advisors under the soft glow of oil lamps, planning campaigns, and reflecting on the delicate interplay of power, diplomacy, and divine favor. Cultural life flourishes quietly within the city. Artisans produce beautifully crafted objects, ceramics, carved ivory, bronze tools, and ceremonial items. Music and poetry are present in both sacred and domestic spaces, the melodies carried gently through the streets during festivals or private gatherings. Children play under the shadow of the city walls, their laughter mingling with the distant hum of trade and the murmur of prayers. Life, though structured, possesses a subtle vitality, a gentle rhythm that flows through both the streets of Hattusa and the surrounding countryside. By the end of the Old Kingdom, the Hittites have established themselves as a people capable of both governance and creativity. They are a civilization learning to balance tradition and innovation, war and peace, human ambition and divine favor. Their careful attention to law, religion, and urban planning sets the stage for the more expansive and influential new kingdom that will follow, a period in which Hattusa will shine as the capital of a formidable empire. As we rest in this vision of early Hattusa, let the mind linger on its streets, its walls, and the lives within. Imagine the scent of baked bread drifting through narrow lanes, the soft sounds of livestock and song, and the distant call of the wind over the Anatolian hills. Each moment in this city, though ancient, feels immediate and serene. Let this calm awareness carry you gently into the next chapter, where the Hittites' power and influence grow, and their story unfolds across wider lands and grander ambitions. As we move softly through time, the Hittites enter a new phase of their history, known as the New Kingdom or the Hittite Empire period, beginning around the 14th century BCE. Imagine the city of Hattusa once more, now larger and more fortified, with massive stone walls curving gracefully around the plateau, towers rising at measured intervals, and gates carefully constructed to control the flow of people and goods. The air carries a mixture of smoke from hearths, the earthy scent of clay, and the faint metallic tang of bronze being worked in nearby workshops. This era is defined by kings of extraordinary vision and energy. Among them, Suppiluliuma I stands out, a ruler whose strategies and diplomacy extend Hittite influence far beyond Anatolia. These kings consolidate power through a combination of military skill, political acumen, and sacred authority. The Hittite army is composed of chariots, infantry, and archers, each unit moving in disciplined formations, trained to respond to the commands of their leaders with precision. Imagine the sun glinting off bronze helmets and polished chariot fittings, as soldiers march through the plains under the watchful eye of their king. Hattusa grows not only as a political center but also as a cultural and religious hub. The city streets are lined with temples, palaces, and administrative buildings. Temples dedicated to Tarhunt, the storm god, rise alongside shrines honoring the sun goddess and other deities brought from conquered regions. Ceremonies are elaborate, marked by the rhythmic chanting of priests, the soft flicker of oil lamps, and the scent of offerings, grains, wine, and finely crafted figurines, placed with care before the gods. The king, as both ruler and religious figure, moves among these spaces with quiet authority, reinforcing the sacred and civic order of the city. The New Kingdom is a time of expansion and diplomacy. Hittite influence reaches into northern Syria and the Levant, bringing them into contact with powerful neighbors such as Mitanni, Aleppo, and Ugarit. Treaties are meticulously drafted, often sealed with symbolic gifts or clay tablets, ensuring boundaries, trade agreements, and alliances are respected. These diplomatic efforts reveal a society that values stability and foresight, recognizing that power is sustained not only through conquest but also through careful negotiation. Picture scribes at work, stylus moving gently across wet clay, each line preserving agreements that will shape relations between kingdoms for generations. Military campaigns, while more frequent than in earlier periods, are strategic rather than reckless. Kings like Suppiluliuma I carefully plan movements of troops and chariots, considering terrain, weather, and the strength of neighboring powers. Battles are conducted with precision, yet the Hittites understand the value of alliances and marriages in reducing conflict. Even in war there is a rhythm, a balance between action and patience, echoing the measured life of their cities and fields. Soldiers march at dawn, the cool air brushing against bronze armor, the quiet sound of hooves and wheels punctuating the stillness of the Anatolian plains. The Hittite legal system matures during this period. Laws are codified with greater clarity, covering property rights, family relationships, and social responsibilities. Justice is administered in formal courts, where scribes record decisions and disputes are mediated with reference to precedent. Imagine the soft scratch of a stylus on clay as a judge carefully listens to arguments, weighing evidence, and invoking divine authority to guide judgment. The legal framework provides stability, allowing cities and villages alike to flourish under predictable and equitable rules. Trade and cultural exchange flourish as the empire expands. Caravans carry tin, copper, textiles, and luxury goods across vast distances, connecting Hattusa with distant lands. Artisans incorporate motifs from Mesopotamia, Syria, and Egypt into their work, creating ceramics, jewelry, and ceremonial objects that blend local and foreign styles. Music, poetry, and storytelling are cultivated in the palaces and temples, the soft sounds of lyres, flutes, and drums filling the courtyards during festivals or quiet evenings. Life, while structured by law and duty, is enriched by art, ceremony, and human creativity, creating a harmonious rhythm that pervades both city and countryside. Religion continues to play a central role in daily life and governance. Kings consult oracles, interpret omens, and perform sacrifices to ensure divine favor. Priests oversee seasonal festivals that celebrate agricultural cycles, celestial events, and significant anniversaries of the royal family. Temples serve not only as places of worship but also as centers for administration and record-keeping. Imagine walking quietly through the courtyard of a temple at dawn, sunlight glancing off polished stone, incense rising in gentle spirals, and the soft chanting of priests resonating in the still morning air. The Hittite military and political success culminates in the famous confrontation with Egypt at the Battle of Kadesh, under the reign of Muwatalli II and later Ramesses II of Egypt. While the details of the battle itself are recorded in both Hittite and Egyptian inscriptions, what matters here is the larger narrative of diplomacy and treaty-making that follows. The Hittites and Egyptians eventually sign one of the earliest known peace treaties in human history, an agreement that guarantees borders, mutual respect, and cooperation. Picture scribes from two great civilizations meeting, carefully recording the terms, a moment of thoughtful resolution amid a history often defined by conflict. Beyond military campaigns and diplomacy, the Hittite kings focus on internal development. Roads and bridges are maintained to facilitate travel and trade, granaries store food to support urban populations and armies, water systems and fortifications are repaired and expanded. The careful management of resources allows the empire to sustain itself over decades, balancing the needs of cities, the countryside, and the military. This attentiveness to infrastructure ensures that life flows smoothly, echoing the natural rhythms of the land and seasons. Daily life under the new kingdom is marked by this same balance. Farmers, artisans, priests, and soldiers each contribute to a society that prizes order and harmony. Children play among the city streets, laughter mingling with the sounds of commerce and ritual. Families share meals in humble homes, while nobles dine in carefully decorated halls. Festivals bring the community together, celebrating agricultural bounty, divine favor, and royal achievements. Life, though filled with duty and expectation, possesses a gentle cadence that mirrors the landscapes of Anatolia, rolling hills, flowing rivers, and soft winds whispering through ancient trees. As we drift through the era of the Hittite New Kingdom, allow your mind to linger on Hattusa at its height. Picture the massive walls, the busy streets, the temples and palaces, and the citizens going about their day with calm purpose. Hear the soft echo of footsteps in stone corridors, the gentle murmur of conversation, the distant song of birds over the plains. This image is not only of a city but of a civilization poised between past and future, between ambition and reflection, embodying both human ingenuity and reverent attention to the forces that shape life. Let this vision gently carry you toward sleep, as the story of the Hittite Empire unfolds further, guiding us into new regions, deeper diplomacy, and the serene yet powerful rhythms of an ancient world. With the new kingdom, the Hittites have become not just a people of Anatolia, but a civilization whose reach and influence touch distant lands, whose structures, laws, and traditions echo across centuries, and whose story invites the mind to wander in calm contemplation. As we continue our gentle journey through time, we arrive at the heart of the Hittite Empire's social and cultural life. Imagine Hattusa once more, now at its fullest expression as a capital city. Massive walls rising with quiet majesty, gates framed in carved stone, and streets bustling softly with merchants, artisans and citizens. The sun casts a warm glow over mud-brick homes, palaces and temples, highlighting the textures of stone, clay and wood, while the Halys River glimmers in the distance, a silent witness to the life of the empire. One of the defining characteristics of the Hittite Empire is its remarkable diplomacy. Beyond battles and conquests, the kings cultivate relationships with neighboring powers, understanding that influence is maintained through negotiation, alliance and marriage as much as through military strength. Treaties are drafted with careful precision, often recorded on clay tablets, detailing boundaries, trade agreements and obligations. Consider the famous treaty with Egypt following the Battle of Kadesh, a historic accord guaranteeing peace, mutual respect and cooperation between two great civilizations. The scribe's stylus moves gently over wet clay, capturing words that will resonate for centuries, a testament to the enduring power of careful diplomacy. Daily life in Hattusa is structured yet serene. Farmers tend their fields of barley and wheat, guided by the soft rhythm of the seasons. Shepherds lead flocks of sheep and goats across the rolling hills, their gentle bleating mingling with the wind. Artisans shape clay into vessels, carve intricate ivory figurines and hammer bronze tools, each movement deliberate and precise. Potters, weavers and metalworkers contribute to both practical and ceremonial objects, their work reflecting the harmony between utility, beauty and ritual. The streets of Hattusa are alive with the soft hum of human activity, but it is a measured, tranquil life, not hurried or chaotic. Religion remains central to Hittite society. Temples dedicated to Tarhunt, the storm god and the sun goddess, as well as lesser local deities, are hubs of both spiritual and civic activity. Priests oversee offerings, sacrifices and festivals, ensuring that divine favor remains with the people and the rulers. Festivals mark seasonal changes, agricultural cycles and royal anniversaries, blending music, dance and ceremonial processions. Imagine the delicate sound of lyres, the rhythmic beating of drums, and the murmured chants of priests rising through temple courtyards as incense curls gently toward the sunlit sky. These rituals are not only spiritual but social, reinforcing the cohesion and identity of the Hittite people. The Hittite legal system also flourishes during this period. Laws are codified and meticulously enforced, covering property, family relations and criminal matters. Courts are held in public spaces, with scribes recording every decision on clay tablets. Justice is both structured and humane, often allowing for reconciliation and mediation rather than harsh punishment. Picture a quiet courtroom. The stylus scratches softly on clay, the judge listens attentively, and the participants engage with respect and patience. This careful attention to law and order creates stability across the empire, enabling both cities and rural communities to thrive. Education and literacy are valued, especially for those serving in administration or the priesthood. Young scribes are trained in the art of cuneiform, learning to inscribe economic records, treaties, and religious texts. Their work ensures that knowledge is preserved across generations, connecting the past with the present. As we imagine these scribes in the quiet of their workshops, the soft scratching of stylus on clay becomes a lullaby of continuity, echoing the patience and dedication of a civilization mindful of both history and future. Art and culture in the Hittite Empire reflect a blend of local and foreign influences. Reliefs carved into stone walls depict gods, kings, and ceremonial scenes, capturing the movement and gestures of daily life and ritual. Pottery is decorated with intricate patterns, combining practical design with aesthetic beauty. Jewelry crafted from bronze, silver, and gold adorns both nobility and ceremonial spaces. Music and poetry fill both public festivals and private gatherings, the melodies gentle yet resonant, enhancing the rhythm of life in the empire. Trade continues to bind the empire together. Caravans bring tin, copper, textiles and luxury goods from distant regions, traversing mountains, rivers and plains. Markets in Hattusa and other cities bustle quietly with activity, merchants exchanging goods, ideas and stories from far-off lands. The exchange of material and intellectual culture strengthens the empire, connecting Anatolia with Syria, Mesopotamia, and beyond. Imagine the soft clatter of pottery, the gentle rustle of textiles, and the muted conversations of traders negotiating with calm deliberation. These rhythms, while subtle, are vital to the life and stability of the Hittite state. Even leisure is cultivated with thoughtfulness. Nobles and commoners alike enjoy music, storytelling, and athletic games. Children play under the shade of walls and trees, their laughter blending with the distant sounds of temple bells and marketplace activity. Festivals are times of communal joy, celebrating the cycles of agriculture, the favor of the gods, and the achievements of kings. Life, though organized and disciplined, carries moments of softness and reflection, a gentle reminder that the human spirit thrives in balance with duty and ritual. Military organization remains essential, though in a measured fashion. Chariots, infantry, and archers are trained to respond to commands with precision. Soldiers practice maneuvers on training grounds outside the city, their bronze and leather armor glinting in the sun. Campaigns are planned with care, balancing the need for defense, diplomacy, and strategic advantage. Even in preparation for war, the rhythms are controlled, reflecting the Hittites' preference for order, foresight, and calculated action rather than chaos or recklessness. The natural world continues to shape Hittite life. Gentle rains nourish crops, rivers provide water and transport, and forests offer timber and game. Seasons are observed with careful attention, festivals and rituals timed to the cycles of planting, growth, harvest, and rest. The Hittites, attuned to these natural rhythms, structure both civic and religious life around the steady passage of time, creating a society that flows in harmony with the environment. As we drift through this chapter of Hittite culture and daily life, picture the city of Hattusa in your mind, the quiet streets, the soft sounds of commerce, the gentle movement of worshippers and citizens, and the distant hills bathed in golden sunlight. Imagine the rhythm of life, steady and serene, punctuated by festivals, prayers, and the soft laughter of children. The Hittites are a civilization that balances ambition with careful governance, war with diplomacy, and human activity with reverent attention to the divine and natural worlds. Allow your mind to linger on this vision, letting the textures, sounds, and scents of Hattusa soothe your thoughts. The soft rhythm of daily life, the deliberate pace of rituals, and the gentle cadence of law and trade can carry you toward a sense of calm reflection. In this state, we are ready to move forward, toward new chapters of expansion, kingship, and interaction with distant lands, all while maintaining the quiet serenity that allows the story to guide you gently toward sleep. As we drift gently through the centuries, the Hittite Empire reaches its fullest expression, extending its influence across Anatolia, northern Syria, and the Levant. Picture Hattusa at its grandest. Towering walls of stone encircle the city, their shadows stretching across sunlit streets. Palaces and temples rise in orderly rows, decorated with reliefs depicting gods, kings, and ceremonial processions. The soft hum of daily life continues. Artisans at their workbenches, children playing near fountains, merchants trading quietly in the marketplace, all moving within the calm rhythm of empire. The new kingdom's kings, inheriting the strategies of their predecessors, pursue a careful combination of military conquest and diplomatic negotiation. Kings such as Mursalai II and Hattusa III extend the empire's borders, absorbing smaller kingdoms and establishing alliances through marriage and treaty. The Hittite army, disciplined and coordinated, moves like a quiet river through the plains and mountains. Chariots roll over gentle hills, infantry marches in measured formations, and archers practice their aim beneath the soft sun. Though the empire grows, campaigns are executed with patience and strategy rather than haste, reflecting the Hittites' enduring emphasis on order and foresight. Northern Syria becomes a critical region in Hittite expansion. Cities such as Aleppo, Carchemish, and Kadesh are drawn into the empire's sphere of influence, sometimes through conquest, sometimes through alliances. Trade routes crisscross the region, connecting Hattusa with the Mediterranean coast, Mesopotamia, and Egypt. Goods such as tin, copper, textiles, and wine flow steadily along these routes, while ideas, religious practices, and artistic motifs travel in tandem. Imagine caravans moving slowly across sun-warmed plains, their oxen treading softly, merchants speaking in quiet negotiation, and the rhythmic jingle of bronze harnesses marking their passage. Relations with Egypt remain a central concern for Hittite kings. Following the confrontation at the Battle of Kadesh, a careful diplomatic balance emerges, culminating in the famous peace treaty with Pharaoh Ramesses II. The treaty, carefully inscribed on clay and later stone, ensures mutual recognition, defined borders, and promises of aid in times of need. Scribes record the text with meticulous care, their stylus scratching quietly into wet clay, preserving the agreement for posterity. The treaty exemplifies the Hittites' emphasis on measured diplomacy. Power is not only wielded through war but also exercised through negotiation, foresight, and respect for others. Internal consolidation is as important as external expansion. The kings implement administrative reforms to maintain stability across distant territories. Governors are appointed to oversee regions, tribute is collected carefully, and local customs are respected while ensuring loyalty to the central authority. Roads, bridges, and storage facilities are maintained to facilitate both commerce and military movement. Granaries are stocked with grain to support cities and armies alike, creating a quiet resilience that allows the empire to endure through both prosperity and challenge. Religion continues to guide governance and society. Kings consult oracles and perform elaborate rituals to secure divine favor for their campaigns and administrative decisions. Temples serve as both spiritual and bureaucratic centers, where priests record offerings, maintain sacred texts, and advise rulers on matters of state. Festivals mark seasonal transitions, agricultural cycles, and royal anniversaries, blending music, dance, and ceremonial procession. Imagine the soft sounds of drums, flutes, and lyres mingling with the chanting of priests as the sun rises over the plateau, the scent of incense curling lazily into the sky, and the calm rhythm of ritual guiding the people's day. Daily life in the provinces mirrors the order of Hattusa, though on a gentler scale. Farmers work under the sun, tending their fields and flocks. Artisans craft pottery, bronze tools, and ornaments, their hands moving with deliberate care. Markets hum quietly with the exchange of goods and ideas, children play near city gates, and families share meals of bread, barley, and fruit. Though the empire stretches across vast distances, the rhythm of life maintains a gentle, measured consistency, echoing the natural cycles of sun, rain, and seasons. Military engagements, though frequent, are characterized by strategy and discipline. Campaigns are planned in advance, with attention to supply lines, terrain, and weather. Soldiers practice maneuvers and maintain equipment meticulously, their movements coordinated under the guidance of experienced generals. Battles, when they occur, are calculated and structured, reflecting the Hittites' preference for precision and foresight rather than chaos. Imagine the soft clatter of bronze on chariot wheels, the measured march of infantry, and the quiet tension before engagement, all conducted with a deliberate sense of order. The Hittites also maintain cultural cohesion across their expanding realm. Local customs are respected, yet the empire promotes shared symbols and practices. Temples, festivals, and laws create continuity across distant regions, fostering a sense of belonging to a larger, stable order. Art, literature, and music circulate through cities and towns, linking people to the shared identity of the Hittite state. Imagine a storyteller in a small Syrian town, recounting the deeds of kings and gods while children sit quietly, the soft firelight flickering against stone walls, connecting the distant provinces with the heart of the empire. Trade and diplomacy with neighboring powers extend the empire's influence beyond immediate borders. Contact with Mitanni, Assyria, and Babylon introduces new technologies, religious ideas, and artistic motifs. Caravans transport copper, tin, textiles, and luxury goods across mountains and plains, while scribes carefully record treaties, trade agreements, and correspondence between rulers. The quiet rhythm of commerce and diplomacy reinforces the Hittite approach to power, a combination of force, negotiation and foresight, ensuring both prosperity and stability. Even as the empire expands, the natural world remains central to daily life. Rivers, hills, and forests shape settlement patterns, agriculture, and transportation. The seasonal cycle guides planting, harvesting, and ritual observances. The Hittites attuned themselves to these rhythms, balancing human activity with the steady passage of time. Imagine walking along a riverbank in the early morning, mist rising softly, birds calling, and the distant sound of a chariot wheel echoing across the plain, a gentle reminder of the harmony between nature, society, and governance. By the end of this period, the Hittite Empire stands as one of the great powers of the ancient Near East. Its kings balance military might with diplomacy, its citizens lead structured yet harmonious lives, and its culture thrives in both art and ritual. Hattusa, the capital, exemplifies the empire's order, beauty, and spiritual depth, a city of walls, temples, and quiet streets where life flows in measured rhythm. As we linger in this vision, allow your mind to absorb the patterns of empire, the calm precision of armies, the soft chatter of marketplaces, the deliberate rituals of temple life, and the gentle sway of fields and flocks across Anatolia. Imagine the empire stretching outward, not in chaos, but in careful, deliberate order, connecting people, land, and culture across vast distances. Let this scene, rich in detail yet calm in tone, guide your thoughts toward reflection and gentle rest. The story of the Hittites, while filled with strategy, expansion, and governance, remains rooted in measured rhythms, cultural continuity, and the harmonious interplay between human ambition and the natural world. This balance, maintained across centuries, creates a narrative that soothes the mind as it prepares to drift into the next chapter, where internal challenges and the subtle shifts of power continue to shape the empire's story. As we drift gently through the unfolding centuries, the Hittite Empire enters a period marked by internal challenges and gradual transformation. Picture Hattusa, now a city of stone and mud brick, its walls rising in quiet grandeur, palaces and temples reflecting the warm glow of the sun. Streets are still alive with soft activity, artisans at their benches, merchants moving quietly through markets, children chasing one another along shaded lanes. But beneath this calm rhythm, the empire faces pressures that will shape its future. The later kings of the Hittites, descendants of those who expanded the new kingdom, must navigate a complex landscape of loyalty, succession, and regional power. Internal disputes over succession occasionally disrupt the steady rhythm of governance. Imagine the quiet deliberation in a palace chamber. Advisors whisper softly, kings consider counsel, and scribes record decisions on clay tablets, preserving choices that will ripple through generations. These moments of tension, though subtle, reflect the delicate balance of authority that sustains an empire spread across Anatolia and Syria. At the same time, regional governors and local rulers exercise a degree of autonomy, requiring the central authority to maintain careful oversight. Letters and reports travel along roads and rivers, scribes ensuring that instructions from Hattusa reach distant towns and settlements. Governors collect tribute, oversee justice, and maintain local defenses, reinforcing both the power of the king and the cohesion of the empire. This network of administration allows distant regions to function harmoniously, even as challenges arise, illustrating the Hittites' continued emphasis on organization and foresight. Diplomacy remains a vital instrument of stability. The Hittites continue to interact with neighboring powers, including Assyria, Babylonia, and Egypt, through both formal treaties and quiet negotiation. Trade persists across mountains and plains, with caravans carrying copper, tin, textiles, and luxury items, weaving distant regions into a subtle tapestry of commerce and culture. Imagine these caravans moving through misty dawns and sunlit afternoons, oxen treading softly, merchants speaking in hushed tones, and the rhythmic jingle of harnesses echoing across the plains. Each journey strengthens both material prosperity and political connection. Religion continues to serve as a stabilizing force. Priests and temple officials maintain rituals and festivals, connecting the people with the divine while reinforcing civic unity. Offerings of grain, wine, and livestock mark seasonal transitions, agricultural cycles, and royal anniversaries. Imagine a temple at sunrise, incense rising in delicate spirals, priests chanting softly, the distant sound of lyres blending with the murmur of morning activity. In these moments, the sacred and civic spheres converge, guiding both rulers and citizens toward harmony and continuity. Despite internal stability, the later Hittite period is not without threats. Neighboring powers and ambitious local rulers occasionally challenge central authority. Military campaigns, carefully planned and executed, address these challenges with measured precision. Chariots move across plains, infantry marches in disciplined lines, and archers practice their aim with deliberate care. Battles are strategic and considered, reflecting the Hittites' preference for order and foresight. Even in times of conflict, the empire maintains a calm rhythm, emphasizing control, planning, and the long view over rash action. Daily life, though affected by these political shifts, continues with a quiet constancy. Farmers tend fields and flocks, artisans craft objects of both utility and beauty, and markets remain centers of exchange and conversation. Festivals and ceremonies maintain the social fabric, providing rhythm and meaning. Children play near walls and courtyards, their laughter mingling softly with the sounds of work and worship. Life flows steadily, reflecting the Hittite understanding that human society thrives best when guided by order, tradition, and mindful attention to both natural and social rhythms. The Hittites also face environmental and economic pressures. Droughts, crop failures, and disruptions of trade routes challenge the empire's resources. Yet their administrative and religious systems help mitigate these difficulties. Granaries store surplus grain, reservoirs and cisterns provide water, and priests offer guidance on interpreting omens and predicting seasonal changes. Imagine the quiet diligence of farmers and officials, the soft rustle of wheat in fields, and the careful measurement of water flowing into storage. Small acts that sustain life and the continuity of the empire. Art, literature, and culture continue to flourish despite these challenges. Reliefs depicting gods, kings, and ceremonial scenes adorn temples and palaces. Music, poetry, and storytelling persist, bridging generations and regions. Imagine a small household in a provincial town. The soft glow of an oil lamp illuminates a child listening to tales of heroic kings, gods, and distant lands. The gentle cadence of storytelling, the soft rhythm of domestic life, and the enduring presence of culture help preserve identity and cohesion across the Hittite realm. Education remains central, especially for scribes and administrators. Young students practice cuneiform, learning to inscribe records, treaties, and religious texts. Their careful work ensures continuity, preserving knowledge and wisdom for generations yet to come. Imagine a quiet scriptorium, the stylus scratching softly on wet clay, the focused attention of students, and the serene atmosphere of learning. These small, deliberate acts sustain the empire's memory, connecting past, present, and future in a gentle, enduring thread. By the end of this period, the Hittite Empire, though facing challenges, demonstrates remarkable resilience. Its kings balance diplomacy and military action, its citizens maintain structured and meaningful daily lives, and its culture continues to thrive. Hattusa, still the symbolic heart of the empire, reflects both continuity and adaptation. A city of stone walls, temples, palaces, and quiet streets, where life flows in measured rhythm, even amid uncertainty. As we reflect on this chapter, imagine the soft rustle of leaves in the surrounding hills, the quiet chatter of citizens in the marketplace, the gentle clatter of chariot wheels on distant roads, and the murmured prayers rising from temples. The Hittite Empire, though tested by internal strife and external pressures, persists through its careful governance, cultural richness, and attention to both human and natural rhythms. Let this vision settle gently in your mind, a calm and measured landscape that guides thoughts toward reflection and gentle rest. This period, with its challenges and continuities, prepares the empire for its final chapters, where external pressures, succession issues, and the subtle decline of central authority will unfold. The Hittites' enduring emphasis on law, religion, culture, and measured governance leaves a lasting legacy, not only in Anatolia but across the ancient Near East. As we drift through these centuries, allow the images of temples, palaces, streets, and fields to soothe the mind, creating a gentle rhythm that mirrors the careful, thoughtful life of the Hittite world. As we continue our serene journey through the centuries, we arrive at a period of gradual change for the Hittite Empire. Picture Hattusa once more, now a city whose stone walls stand as both guardians and witnesses to generations of kings. Palaces and temples rise in quiet dignity, their reliefs depicting gods, kings, and ceremonial life, but the soft hum of daily activity carries subtle signs of transformation. The streets are still alive with artisans, merchants, and children, yet beneath this continuity, the empire faces growing internal and external pressures. The decline of the Hittite Empire is neither sudden nor chaotic. It is a measured process influenced by a combination of political, environmental, and economic factors. Succession disputes occasionally disrupt the smooth flow of governance. Imagine advisors speaking softly in palace chambers, scribes recording decisions on wet clay, and kings deliberating over the delicate balance of power. These moments, though quiet, highlight the fragility inherent in any vast empire, where leadership must continuously adapt to maintain cohesion across distant regions. Externally, the Hittites encounter new threats and shifting alliances. Neighboring powers, such as the Assyrians, Babylonians, and the rising Sea peoples, begin to assert influence over regions once firmly under Hittite control. Trade routes that once flowed steadily are disrupted by raiding and conflict. Imagine caravans navigating treacherous mountain passes, the soft sound of oxen hooves on stone, merchants whispering instructions, and distant drums signaling movement or danger. Even amid these challenges, the empire seeks to respond with measured strategy, relying on diplomacy, fortifications, and careful military organization. Despite these pressures, the cultural and religious life of the Hittites continues with serene continuity. Temples remain centers of ritual and administration, their priests maintaining festivals, offerings, and sacred texts. Citizens continue to observe seasonal rituals, guided by the rhythmic patterns of the sun, moon, and agricultural cycles. Picture a temple courtyard at dawn. Incense curls gently into the soft light, the faint sound of lyres and drums punctuates quiet chants, and priests move in deliberate patterns, embodying both spiritual devotion and social order. These rituals anchor society even as political and environmental pressures increase. Daily life adapts gradually to these changing circumstances. Farmers adjust to new conditions in fields and pastures, artisans continue their craft, and marketplaces maintain a subdued but steady activity. Families nurture their children, passing down knowledge of traditions, stories, and skills. Even in times of uncertainty, the rhythms of domestic and civic life provide a gentle consistency, reinforcing community cohesion and cultural identity. Imagine children playing near city walls, their laughter mingling softly with the sound of distant workshops, the wind carrying scents of baking bread and flowering orchards across the streets. The Hittite military, though diminished in resources and numbers, remains a crucial instrument for maintaining stability. Soldiers train in measured routines, chariots move in coordinated drills, and archers practice their aim beneath the gentle Anatolian sun. Campaigns are carefully planned with attention to supply, terrain, and strategic positioning. Battles, when they occur, reflect the empire's enduring preference for discipline and foresight rather than recklessness. Even as external pressures grow, the military embodies the measured resilience of the Hittite state. Political fragmentation gradually emerges in outlying regions. Governors and local rulers exercise increasing autonomy, occasionally challenging central authority. Letters, reports, and edicts continue to traverse the empire, though the control exerted from Hattusa wanes with distance and circumstance. Scribes play a vital role, recording agreements, instructions, and decisions with painstaking care, maintaining a fragile chain of governance across the vast and diverse Hittite territories. Imagine the soft scratch of stylus on clay in provincial centers, a quiet but persistent effort to sustain connection and order. Trade and cultural exchange, while disrupted, continue in a more cautious rhythm. Caravans navigate safer routes, markets adjust their flows and artisans maintain connections with distant styles and techniques. Religious festivals and ceremonies remain central to social cohesion, reinforcing identity even amid uncertainty. Music, poetry, and storytelling continue to weave through the daily lives of citizens, linking generations with the past and preserving the memory of great kings, heroic deeds, and divine favor. Imagine a storyteller reciting ancient tales to children gathered in a small courtyard, the soft flicker of oil lamps illuminating attentive faces, as the whispers of history echo gently in their imagination. Environmental factors also contribute to the empire's challenges. Droughts, shifting climate patterns, and disruptions in agricultural productivity place stress on resources. Granaries, once stocked to provide security, require careful management, while farmers adapt to unpredictable conditions. Rivers, which have long nurtured crops and enabled travel, fluctuate with seasonal and climatic changes. Imagine the soft murmur of water over stones in a riverbed, fields stretching quietly under changing skies, and farmers moving deliberately across the land, maintaining the delicate balance between nature and human need. Even amid these pressures, the Hittites demonstrate remarkable resilience. Governance, religion, culture, and daily life persist in continuity, reflecting centuries of careful administration, ritual, and tradition. Palaces and temples remain centers of authority and spirituality, markets continue to hum softly, and families maintain domestic routines. The empire's structure, though increasingly strained, continues to provide a framework within which life flows with quiet order. As we reflect on the Hittite Empire's final decades, imagine the city of Hattusa at sunset, golden light glancing off walls and towers, shadows stretching across streets, children playing near fountains, merchants finishing their quiet exchanges, and priests offering soft prayers at temples. Picture the distant mountains, the gentle ripple of rivers, and the soft wind carrying the scents of incense, bread, and fertile fields. This serene imagery reminds us that even as political power wanes, cultural memory, daily life, and human continuity endure, preserving the essence of a great civilization. The Hittite legacy, though challenged in its final years, extends beyond conquest and diplomacy. Law, religious practice, architecture, and art continue to influence neighboring regions. Treaties and correspondence, carefully preserved in clay, inform later political and diplomatic practices. The memory of kings, battles, and rituals persists in both material and cultural landscapes. Imagine the stylist tracing cuneiform into soft clay, each mark a quiet testament to governance, culture, and continuity, echoing across centuries even after the empire's political decline. As night falls over the Anatolian plateau, the empire's story gently transitions from activity to reflection. Streets grow quiet, fires in homes and palaces flicker softly, and the distant cry of night birds rises over stone walls. The Hittites' careful balance of order, ritual, and human life continues in these quiet moments, their legacy encoded in walls, tablets, and memory. Imagine yourself walking slowly through these streets, feeling the warmth of stone under soft moonlight, the subtle murmur of life fading gently, and the calm presence of a civilization that has endured centuries of growth, challenge, and adaptation. In this reflective state, the Hittite Empire's story guides the mind toward rest. Its rise, expansion, diplomacy, culture, and eventual challenges are not told in dramatic crescendo but in a measured rhythm, emphasizing continuity, thoughtfulness, and resilience. Let the image of Hattusa, the rhythm of daily life, and the quiet movement of people, animals, and rivers carry you gently into rest, the soft cadence of history providing a soothing backdrop for contemplation and sleep. As our gentle journey through Hittite history nears its close, we arrive at the empire's final centuries. Picture Hattusa one last time, its massive walls standing as enduring witnesses to centuries of kings, priests, soldiers, artisans, and families. Palaces and temples rise in quiet dignity, their carved reliefs capturing gods, kings, and ceremonial life. Streets, still softly alive with human activity, now carry the echoes of change, subtle shifts in governance, occasional unrest, and the distant pressures of new powers rising on Anatolia's borders. The fall of the Hittite Empire is a gradual, layered process rather than a sudden collapse. Internal succession disputes, pressures from rebellious vassals, and environmental challenges slowly weaken central authority. Kings and advisors deliberate carefully, attempting to maintain cohesion, yet distant regions increasingly assert autonomy. Picture scribes moving quietly along palace corridors, stylists tracing carefully on wet clay, preserving the decisions, treaties, and proclamations that will struggle to maintain unity across the empire. Even amid these difficulties, the Hittites demonstrate resilience, relying on long-established systems of law, ritual, and administration to guide their decisions. Externally, the empire faces rising threats. Assyrian power grows to the east, while the Sea peoples and other migratory groups challenge traditional borders. Trade routes, once steady and secure, face disruption from raids and shifting alliances. Imagine caravans carefully navigating mountain passes, oxen moving slowly along sunlit roads, merchants whispering instructions, and distant signals of military activity marking tension in the land. Each journey carries both opportunity and risk, reflecting the delicate balance of life in a civilization experiencing transformation. Despite these pressures, Hittite cultural and religious life continues with serene consistency. Temples remain active centers of worship and administration. Priests maintain festivals, offering prayers and sacrifices to Tarhunt, the storm god, and the sun goddess, as well as to local deities. Seasonal rituals, agricultural ceremonies, and royal commemorations continue to link the community with divine rhythms and reinforce social cohesion. Picture a temple courtyard at dawn. Incense rises in delicate spirals, the soft sound of lyres and drums resonates across stone walls, and priests move with measured grace, guiding citizens through cycles of devotion and reflection. Daily life, while affected by political pressures, continues in a steady cadence. Farmers tend to fields and flocks, artisans shape clay, bronze, and ivory into objects of utility and beauty, and markets hum with quiet trade. Families care for children, passing down skills, stories, and knowledge of ancestral traditions. Festivals bring communities together, offering moments of joy, reflection, and collective identity. Imagine children playing beneath shaded walls, merchants finishing transactions, and the gentle flow of daily activity across the streets of Hattusa, all echoing the enduring rhythm of life despite broader uncertainty. Military organization, though weakened by resources and shifting allegiances, remains essential. Soldiers train with discipline, chariots move across the plains, and archers maintain their practice with precision. Campaigns are carefully planned, prioritizing defense, strategic advantage, and preservation of territory. Battles, when they occur, are deliberate, emphasizing calculation over chaos. The Hittite approach to conflict, even in its waning years, reflects the civilization's enduring preference for measured action and foresight. Art, literature, and architecture continue to leave a lasting impression. Reliefs on temples and palaces depict ceremonial life, kings, gods, and distant lands. Ceramics and jewelry reflect the blending of local and foreign influences, while music and storytelling preserve memory and cultural identity. Imagine a small provincial home at dusk. A child listens to tales of heroic kings, legendary battles, and divine interventions, the flicker of an oil lamp illuminating attentive faces. This gentle transmission of knowledge ensures that even as political power diminishes, the essence of the Hittite world persists in memory, ritual, and craft. Education remains a quiet, vital force. Scribes in provincial centers and palace workshops continue to record laws, treaties, and religious texts. Young students practice cuneiform, preserving knowledge for future generations. Imagine the soft scratch of stylus on clay in a dimly lit scriptorium, each mark carrying centuries of history and wisdom. These acts, subtle yet deliberate, reinforce continuity and preserve the empire's intellectual and cultural heritage. By the late 12th century BCE, the Hittite Empire faces increasing fragmentation. Cities like Hattusa are eventually abandoned, leaving behind stone walls, temples, and palaces as silent witnesses to centuries of human endeavor. The exact causes are multifaceted, environmental stress, internal strife, and external invasions all contribute. But the legacy of the Hittites endures far beyond the political structure of the empire itself. Imagine walking through the abandoned streets of Hattusa centuries later, feeling the quiet presence of history, the soft whisper of winds across stone ruins, and the faint echoes of ceremonies, markets, and daily life. The Hittites' lasting contributions extend into law, diplomacy, and culture. Their legal codes, recorded on clay tablets, influenced later societies in the region, offering structured approaches to justice, property, and social order. Treaties, such as the Accord with Egypt, set a precedent for international diplomacy that resonates through history. Architectural innovations, urban planning, and artistic expression continue to inspire understanding of ancient civilizations. The careful combination of governance, ritual, and culture demonstrates a profound awareness of continuity and order, offering lessons that echo across millennia. Trade and cultural influence persist beyond the empire's political collapse. Caravans continue to carry tin, copper, textiles, and crafted goods across the region. Religious ideas, artistic motifs, and technological practices influence neighboring civilizations. Imagine merchants moving quietly along familiar routes, temples in distant cities adopting Hittite motifs, and scribes recording agreements in a manner inspired by Hittite precedent. Even after political structures fade, the rhythms of Hittite culture ripple outward, leaving subtle yet enduring traces across Anatolia and beyond. The Hittites' interaction with the natural world also leaves a lasting impression. Their agricultural practices, attunement to seasonal cycles, and respect for rivers, hills, and forests reflect an enduring understanding of the balance between human activity and environmental rhythms. Imagine the soft sound of water over stones, the gentle sway of wheat in fields, and shepherds guiding flocks across sunlit pastures. These observations and practices, quietly woven into daily life, shape both the practical and symbolic foundations of their society. As we reflect on the final chapter of the Hittite Empire, allow the imagination to linger on the calm imagery of Hattusa's ruins, the rhythm of daily life that once filled its streets, and the enduring presence of culture, law, and ritual. Picture the warm glow of sunset across stone walls, the soft murmur of distant winds through abandoned gates, and the delicate scent of earth, herbs, and smoke rising faintly from hearths long silent. The Hittite story, though concluded in political terms, continues to resonate through history, culture, and imagination. The empire's lessons in governance, diplomacy, military organization, law, and culture provide a quiet but enduring legacy. Imagine a scholar centuries later studying clay tablets, tracing the careful cuneiform marks, understanding the decisions of kings, and observing the subtle interplay of human endeavor, divine ritual, and natural cycles. Each detail offers insight into the deliberate rhythms of life, the balance of ambition with foresight, and the gentle yet profound ways a civilization shapes both its people and the surrounding world. As night deepens over the Anatolian plateau, let the mind settle in the calm, measured world of the Hittites. Streets are quiet, fires flicker softly in hearths, and the distant calls of nocturnal creatures echo across fields and hills. The empire's story, its rise, expansion, diplomacy, daily life, challenges, and enduring legacy, provides a gentle, continuous rhythm for reflection. Imagine walking through the soft moonlight along the ancient streets, feeling the stone underfoot, listening to the faint rustle of leaves, and sensing the quiet continuity of human life across generations. Allow these final images of the Hittite Empire to guide the mind toward rest. The narrative, told in measured cadence, invites reflection on continuity, balance, and resilience. Though political structures fall and cities are abandoned, culture, law, art, and human memory endure. Picture Hattusa's walls under the soft light of dawn or dusk, temples standing in quiet reverence, and streets once bustling now calm and serene. In this state, the mind drifts gently, carried by centuries of human endeavor, and guided towards sleep by the enduring presence of one of the ancient world's most remarkable civilizations. As we draw our journey through the Hittite Empire to a close, allow your mind to rest in the soft, enduring rhythms of this ancient civilization. Picture Hattusa one last time, perched upon its rocky plateau, stone walls stretching calmly into the horizon. Palaces, temples, and quiet streets form a landscape of human endeavor and devotion, alive not with the rush of conquest but with the steady, measured pulse of daily life. The sun casts a warm, golden glow over the city, illuminating carved reliefs, smooth clay vessels, and the gentle sway of trees along the gates. Let us drift through memory, softly recalling the Hittites' beginnings, when small Anatolian communities slowly coalesced into city-states. Imagine fields tilled under soft skies, shepherds tending flocks along winding hills, and villages humming quietly with domestic activity. From these humble origins emerged a people capable of great organization, law, and diplomacy, guided by reverence for gods, the cycles of nature, and human relationships. Even now, in this reflective moment, you can sense the echo of those ancient footsteps across the plains. The rise of the new kingdom brings visions of chariots rolling across gentle hills, armies moving with disciplined precision, and kings walking through grand halls lined with stone reliefs depicting ceremonial life. Palaces and temples stand as symbols of order, creativity, and spiritual devotion. Festivals echo softly in the mind, the rhythm of drums, the delicate strum of lyres, the gentle chanting of priests rising into the sunlit air. Imagine the fragrance of incense mingling with the scent of freshly baked bread and fields of grain, a calm reminder that human endeavor and the divine were intertwined in every step of daily life. Hittite diplomacy, treaties, and alliances reveal a people who understood the subtle balance between power and harmony. Kings carefully negotiated with neighbors, preserving borders and fostering cooperation across Anatolia, Syria, and beyond. Picture scribes at work, stylists moving gently over clay, preserving agreements meant to endure centuries. These quiet, deliberate acts remind us that strength can be exercised not only in battle but through thoughtfulness, patience, and respect for others. Allow this idea to sink in, as a soft lesson in both history and the gentle rhythms of life. The empire's daily life continues in serene imagery: farmers tending fields and flocks, artisans shaping clay and bronze, children laughing in shaded streets, merchants trading quietly at markets. Temples anchor the spiritual rhythm of the people, law brings structure, and festivals mark the passing of seasons and the cycles of human experience. Imagine a quiet courtyard at dusk. A soft breeze stirs the leaves, lanterns flicker gently along stone walls, and distant drums punctuate the calm evening. The Hittite world is alive in its measured cadence, offering a model of balance and continuity. Even as the empire faces internal challenges and external pressures, the resilience of culture, law, and daily life endures. Imagine Hattusa's walls standing firm against winds and time, scribes carefully recording transactions, kings negotiating treaties, and families moving through daily routines with quiet dignity. The Hittites' ability to preserve identity, ritual, and knowledge across centuries is a gentle testament to the power of human continuity, even in the face of change. Let this understanding calm the mind, as a reminder that stability often comes from small, persistent acts repeated over generations. The fall of the Hittite Empire need not feel abrupt. Instead, picture a soft fading, like the gentle dimming of twilight. Cities are slowly abandoned, walls remain as quiet witnesses, and the rhythms of daily life continue in memory and legacy. The achievements of kings, the creativity of artisans, the devotion of priests, and the daily lives of citizens ripple outward, influencing neighboring peoples and distant lands. Imagine the soft echo of footsteps across abandoned streets, the whisper of wind through empty gates, and the faint shimmer of river water reflecting the sun. A quiet, meditative reminder that human endeavor leaves traces far beyond political power. Reflect also on the enduring legacy of the Hittites, their legal codes, diplomatic treaties, architectural innovations, and artistic traditions. These contributions extend across time, subtly shaping future civilizations. Picture a scholar centuries later studying clay tablets, tracing the careful cuneiform lines, understanding the deliberate thought of kings, and appreciating the balance between law, ritual, and daily life. Each mark, each symbol, is a gentle bridge between past and present, a quiet lesson in foresight, care, and thoughtful action. Now let the mind linger on the natural world that cradled the Hittites. Rolling hills, gentle rivers, fertile plains, and forests alive with wind and wildlife. Imagine farmers guiding flocks along soft trails, fields rippling in the breeze, and the distant mountains framing a tranquil horizon. This harmony between human life and nature, carefully observed and respected, forms a lasting rhythm that can soothe thought and spirit alike. Let these gentle images accompany you, like a soft lullaby of history and geography intertwined. As night deepens over the Anatolian plateau, picture Hattusa bathed in silver moonlight. Walls glow softly, temples exude quiet reverence, and streets are calm, the echo of past life lingering in stone and shadow. Listen to the distant rustle of leaves, the gentle flow of rivers, and the subtle movements of nocturnal creatures. The Hittite story, carried across centuries, now settles into quiet reflection, a gentle cadence that guides thought toward rest. Finally, allow your imagination to drift across time and space, feeling the presence of the Hittite civilization not as something distant, but as a steady, enduring rhythm. Their lives, filled with law, art, ritual, and daily care, offer a model of continuity and balance. Picture the soft glow of sunrise over ancient streets, the quiet chatter of children, the delicate strumming of a lyre in a temple courtyard, and the calm order of life flowing in measured patterns. These images invite the mind to relax, reflect, and finally surrender to gentle rest. In this epilogue, we let go of the narrative and simply exist within the peaceful, enduring Hittite world. Walls, temples, streets, rivers, and hills, all bear silent witness to human creativity and resilience. The empire, though gone in political terms, continues to teach through its legacy: measured governance, thoughtful diplomacy, devotion to culture and ritual, and harmonious interaction with nature. Let these lessons now lull the mind, carrying thought into a deep, restorative sleep, guided by the quiet presence of one of the ancient world's most remarkable civilizations.